Hi guys, ULTIMA here. Today I'm going to talk about strategies. I thought it would be good to just give a rough idea of what goes into creating strats. I'm not a competitive player, not anymore, but when we were starting out in 2004, you don't have much resources other than God Frag. So we needed to develop our own strategies so that our opponents would not find us predictable. I'll just talk through the process about how we develop it, and hopefully that's helpful for somebody out there or for new teams who are trying to think about creating their own strategies. In order to develop a strategy, you need to know first how does your teammates play. When we first started out, we had a very diverse group of players. So you need to identify first who are the risky players and who are not. Risky play matched with very conservative players, you get very strange dynamics. On contrary, you might want to put your risky players to, for example, to play B side, and they're both very aggressive players, they're risk takers. Then when the time is right and the house is clear, they will push B house. Secondly, you need to distribute the firepower. Who is the guy that's most likely to take down 3 or 4 people at a single go? And then lastly, you also want to know which teammates are able to respond quickly and be strong influencers during the game. In the past tournaments, when you're dead, you can't speak, you can't even type, your screen fades to black, and so you have no chance to communicate and guide your team what to do next. You know, your team is left stranded without a commander if the commander gets taken down, and so having a sub commander really helps at the time. Those practices may not be relevant today, but it's still important for different people in the team to have that kind of ability to read the game, to give a proper response, to give suggestions, and to initiate. After understanding your players, you want to think about the approach. After assessing their risk, the playstyles, their firepower, you would be able to roughly tell whether the team can be an aggressive team. Should they play very balanced all the way, or should they play something that is a bit more defensive? Is the team's strength in holding defaults? Is it in going for retakes? Is it going for aggressive pushes and having very fast and quick control? We have to decide and feel what's best for the team. So to give some flavor, the team that I was in, XTC, we are a mix, but we are mostly aggressive and risk takers. I have a teammate called Pierre, Grim Reaper, and when I first had him in the team, he was very difficult to control, but I realized that rather than try to control him, we wanted to leverage on his strengths. So I knew that Grim was a very aggressive player, risk taker. He has tremendous firepower. It might be worthwhile to leave him to play aggressive on B, and while I have the rest of the team play a bit more defensive on A. Once he makes the push and the information is revealed, then the people at A can decide how to respond, whether they should play closer to connector, closer to the back of site, or try to control and flank from A long. You really need to think about your team's strengths and weaknesses and decide on a certain approach. There's so many things you can do here. If they're all individual players, then you can do multiple kind of flanks. You can just go for basic aggressive peaks and takedowns. If your team is not strong in firepower but they rely heavily on teamwork and dynamics, then it might be better to just play a very slow, balanced game, right? You want to wait for a mistake that your opponent makes. And we are more fast at the time. We tend to have very fast, quick pincer attacks and a lot of decoys. We think about how we can try and pull the opponent from one side to the other side to weaken that side and then attack it. You need to start to think about these things and try to structure your team and decide on what kind of approach to take. Granted that the way you develop a strategy for the T side or the CT side is actually very different. I'm just going to talk about the T side broadly. For the T side, you want to make sure you control the critical points of the map. For example, in DDoS 2, you want to structure your strategy to have control over middle, because if you can control middle, the terrorists can decide where to go. They could flank from tunnels, they could go by A short, they can go by middle. Then you need to think about who goes to where. Do you put 3 people at middle, 2 people at A main? Or do you put 2 people at middle and then 1 person at B to flank while A main tries to control? Some people take a spawn based approach, meaning based on the spawn you can decide how to leverage on that tactical advantage. So if somebody has spawned for A, it technically means that that person can reach A faster than usual, and that sets up for a lot of things. That person can throw a flash and just dive straight into the site for an entry kill, and then the teammates can follow up for a refrag. The other ones are a bit more complex. You might be playing a default, playing very safe first, one person at B main, two person at middle, maybe boosted up into middle, and then one at A main, one at metal doors or squeaky, just to make sure there's no push from CT and just want to control and see what happens. So that kind of playstyle can work. It relies on picks and then how they respond to it, or it could be a split attack that's very fast and quick. But you're not going to always do the same thing. And actually these three styles are related, because it could be that you start off doing a default first, and then after some time, commander or somebody, right, decides that maybe we need to start to set up to do a fast execute. And then the flashes and smokes comes out for the setup and then they go. I think I'll do another separate video about doing and developing T strats and CT strats. In itself, the topic is going to be very long, and probably need to break it down. Geez, and how many strategies to have also is another topic. There are three things that I talked about. The first is about understanding your players. Number two, the stylistic character of the team based on the team composition. Number three, different kinds of strategies to adopt. These are just some of the things that I'm sharing. We'll talk about this a bit more next time when we see each other again. So, without further ado, adios.